Good evening.
Good evening.
What are you dancing to?
Our intro.
Oh.
Hey, good evening. Welcome to Conversation with the Coxes. We are doing it again. Man, once again, we are so thankful and grateful, man, just for the outpour of support and the feedback. It has just been phenomenal. We appreciate you. We thank you for joining with us. And like any other time that we come on here, we want you guys to just be, open, right? If you want to comment on something, comment. If you want to um, uh, share something, share something. We just want to be a tool for other people to be able to use so that we can all be better. That's all we really want. So thank y'all for joining us. We appreciate you being here. And so the last time we got together, we kind of talked a little bit about a whole bunch of stuff. Man, we've just been all over the spectrum. We've been whatever comes up is what we kind of talk about. But we started out with a mission. I mean, we come here with a topic for sure, but sometimes it just kind of goes. We go with the flow. So we told y'all last time we wanted to come on this week, and we want to talk a little bit about intimacy. Man, really important topic, especially when you're dealing with couples. Intimacy is definitely a hot topic. Do you agree, honey?
I agree.
Okay, so uh, any stories that you have to share that are PG-13, we welcome them. Any advice you have to give, we welcome that. Any comments you have to make, we welcome those as well. So, so we just want to talk a little bit about intimacy tonight. And so, typically, when you talk about intimacy, people automatically kind of jump and they automatically think, sex, right? Uh, Sex is a part of intimacy for sure, but there are so many other aspects of intimacy that we want to touch on tonight. That we just want to broaden your thinking process. We want to broaden your horizons. We want to just be uh, informative. So when we talk about intimacy, right? We talk about closeness, right? And so the one big thing about intimacy is
I knew that was going to happen.
it's all good, baby. One of the things we talk about when we talk about intimacy, right, is being close. Right? And so in relationships, closeness is a really important factor of a relationship, right? It shows united front. It shows you're on the same page. It shows all kind of things. So uh, closeness. So intimacy can be defined absolutely as being close. Uh, so how do you develop intimacy?
Well, I think you're talking about experiential
Okay.
intimacy, right? Where you share common activities, you share common interests, expectations, and all that brings you together.
Okay. So there are different types of intimacy that we're going to talk about. So the first one that you talked about was experiential intimacy, right? So that's basically when you talk about creating experiences in your relationship, right? Doing things together, creating memories, and gaining different experiences within the relationship that kind of brings you closer, right?
Mhm.
So what kind of experience can we talk about, baby?
So common activities
Common activities like what?
like TV shows.
TV shows. We love TV shows. We watch TV shows every day, all night long. Um, One we're watching right now is Arrested Development. Y'all, that is hilarious. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, Arrested Development. You gotta watch. If you're not watching that, you gotta watch that. It's so funny. We just got done watching Parks and Recreation. That was hilarious too. That's not a plug for TV shows, but something like that, right? Sitting down, talking about the kind of things that you like. Oh, we like this kind of show. I like this kind of show. Finding a common ground,
Mhm.
right? And then finding a show that you both like to watch. Sitting down, just being next to your partner is definitely a type of intimacy. It's just being there, not necessarily having to talk, not necessarily having to do a whole lot, right? But we're experiencing the same thing that we both like.
Mhm.
And so both of we talked a little bit last week about filling those emotional cups, right? So both of our emotional cups are being filled. And so it's not one over the other, because we talked about, something that we liked, we both agreed on it, and now we're going to do it together. Right. So we're gaining that experience in our relationship. We're traveling down the same road. We're talking. We're discussing those things that we like, that are similar, and we are engaging and gaining experience, toward those things that we do like in our relationship. So gaining that experience with your partner is definitely a part of building a solid foundation of intimacy.
Correct.
Is there anything you want to add to that, babe?
No.
Okay. Well, moving on.
It's just really important because I think when people think intimacy, they automatically think sex.
Right.
And there are different aspects to intimacy than just sex. So the second one we can cover is intellectual.
Oh, intellectual. What is that?
It talks about a bond through an exchange of ideas or deep, meaningful discussions.
Deep, meaningful discussions like what?
Deep, meaningful discussions. Morals.
Morals. That's a big
values.
one. Values.
Being able to talk about the way one feels.
Okay.
When this happened and you said this, it made me feel like this. Being able to express ourselves with one another.
Right. So intellectual, right?
Religious. Spiritual.
What's up, Cassie?
Hi.
So when we talk about intellectual, right? My wife is right on point. Right? We talk about being on the same wavelength, right? Intellectually, discussing morals, discussing values, discussing things that are important. I talk to a lot of couples, and a lot of couples not always, but most of the time have disagreements about politics, right? And it's something that everybody typically would discuss, and it's just I see things one way, you see things another way. Listen to me. When you talk in a relationship, it is definitely okay to disagree. It is okay to disagree. Nothing in the rule book says that you have to agree on everything all the time. That's what makes you and them. Having your own opinion, having your own ideals, having your own way of thinking. That's what makes you and them. So don't be afraid to speak your mind, to say what you feel. Don't be afraid to voice your opinion or say what you like and what you don't like, because that is what makes the relationship really interesting. If we dated the person that was the same as us, right? How boring would that be? I mean, just doing everything I like to do all the time. I mean, I guess I would love that a little bit, but having a difference of opinion, having somebody that you can bounce ideas off of, and they're giving you a different type of feedback is something that makes a relationship stronger. So being in a place where you can definitely have an intellectual conversation with your spouse, with your partner, is a good thing, right? And like I said before, don't be afraid to voice your opinion about things that you like that may be different from them. It's okay. Right? You're an individual. You're just trying to make a relationship work. It's all good. So intellectual, right? Exchange of ideas, deep, meaningful discussions, good stuff.
Yep. I think a lot of times when people meet one another, initially, they bond over having things alike. And then eventually, as time goes on, they find out that they don't have the same interest. And I think that's when they really need to focus on accepting.
That's a good point.
That and pushing forward.
For sure. It stimulates intellectual intimacy. Wow, Sheila, that's a lot of big words there, ma'am, for the doctor.
Wish we could bring you on so you can elaborate on that a little bit.
So I mean, yeah, it definitely does stimulate intellectual intimacy. Right? I mean, it's something about talking to your partner and seeing how passionate they are about whatever it is that they're talking about, even if it doesn't, even if you don't really agree with it, that they have the fire and that they have the motivation to be able to stand up and say, no, I definitely see where you're coming from, but I don't really feel like that, about making cornbread or whatever it is, right? I don't necessarily feel like that, but I do value your opinion, right? But I want you to know that I see it in a different way, and I'm not just going to agree with you just so that we don't have a debate over it. I'm going to stand my ground, and that definitely stimulates intimacy. You're absolutely right. Mrs. Fitch.
Mrs. Fitch. What do you? And which I have to give a shout out to your husband who made some amazing looking pineapple dish. Like had a pineapple, cut it in half.
That was crazy.
Cut out the pineapple, had some shrimp, something going on. That looked amazing.
It was shrimp fried rice.
It was something.
Pineapple shrimp fried rice?
Yes.
Is that what that was?
Something. So I have a question.
That was crazy.
Right there. So what if your spouse or your partner is very passionate about something, but you can care less?
That's when you support, right? You don't necessarily have to be on fire for whatever they're on fire about. Like, I like sports. I'm a huge sports fan, right? So go Spurs, go Falcons. Those are my teams, right? My wife could care less about sports. Yeah, I mean, anything. When the kids play, she's all about that. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking about like professional stuff, right? So she allows me time to be able to, watch my sports when they come on, and all that good stuff. But I'm passionate about it, but she's not, and so she doesn't give me grief about it. She doesn't, go Spurs, go Cassie. But we don't fight over it. We don't bicker over it. We don't argue over it. It's not something that that I'm going to allow to come into our home and divide us over sports, right? If it's a game on and I'm at the house not really doing much, then she doesn't mind if I sit down and watch a game. She'll go in the room and study for her her clinical test. She'll go in the room and do whatever she's got to do. Sometimes she'll sit right there and she'll watch it with me. You know what I'm saying? And so just her being there, me knowing that she doesn't like sports, really at all, professional sports, is really speaking part of my love language, right? It's quality time. So I know that she don't like it, but she's there anyway, and she's just there because I'm there. Because if I wasn't watching it, she wouldn't watch it. But it's something that we share. We're able to honor. Like sometimes she likes to watch Lifetime movies, right? I don't really like Lifetime movies. Some of them are really good, but I don't necessarily sit there and I don't watch them because I like them. I watch them because she's there and I want to spend time with her. So if there's something that I'm passionate about, or there's something that she's passionate about, sometimes I have to compromise and come out of what I feel just to support her. And that's part of being in a relationship, is that compromise piece. You're not going to get what you want all the time, right?
Right.
If you do, then you need to reevaluate your relationship to find out why it is that you're getting what you want all the time and your spouse isn't, or your partner isn't, right? We got to be in a position where we're equal, where we're giving and we're taking, and we're giving and we're taking, right? It's got to be it's got to be a balance. And so if she's fired up about something and I don't really necessarily care about it, if it's not going to hurt me, if it's not going to cause me physical pain, then I'm going to support her no matter what. And so that's just part of being in a relationship, is knowing that you're not always going to agree, you're not always going to like everything that your spouse is doing, but you support them anyway because
that's what you do.
Yeah, that's what you do. It's what it is, for sure.
Helps the relationship.
Absolutely.
Okay, what about emotional?
Woo.
This is where you share your innermost feelings. Or it's a form of spiritual connection. Okay. So it has both elements.
Yeah, we got a fly in here again. I don't know about y'all, but in New Mexico, man, we got flies. These bad boys is crazy. They are very aggressive, and they just do not care. They have boundary issues. They just personal space issues. Anyways, so we talk about emotional. Man, there's a lot of stuff that goes into emotional. We sometimes, when we come into a relationship, for a reason, right? So whatever the reason is that you are in a relationship, the number one reason I believe is so that you can be supported, right? A lot of people come from a lot of different backgrounds, right? Some people grew up in homes where you know, family wasn't really supportive. Maybe it was a single parent household. They didn't really feel supported. They didn't really feel like that they learned a lot about relationships. And now I find myself in a relationship trying to make a relationship work when I don't necessarily have the tools to be able to make the relationship work because I never learned the tools, right? And so the biggest thing about a relationship is being open and honest with your partner, right? So, story, for a long time, right, I lived my life in my relationship like I wanted to, right? I mean, there was no compromise, there was no discussion. I did what I wanted to do. Well, not what I wanted to do, but I did.
Sometimes.
Sometimes I did what I wanted to do, being honest. But um, it was because I found out later in life that I didn't know how to give my wife what I did not have, right? And so that was emotional support, and that was respect. I mean, that was just a gambit of things. But like I always say, when we learn better, we do better, right? And so uh, when you come from a background where you don't necessarily know how to be in a relationship, right? My mom was married when I was younger. And not that I'm here to bash anybody, by no means am I here to do that. I'm just kind of giving you a little bit of where I'm from. My mom, was married. It wasn't the best relationship, and I'm not going to put your business out there, Mom, I promise. But it wasn't the best relationship. Wasn't the best example of uh, what a relationship should necessarily be like, right? So I didn't learn everything that I feel like I needed to learn to be able to come into a relationship fully prepared to do what it took to sustain a relationship, right? I don't know how many of you guys would admit that, but I didn't come into a relationship with the tools or with the knowledge I needed to be able to start off right from the get go, right? And so that was just me. So I had to learn. I bumped my head a lot of times along the way, but uh, if you're in a relationship with somebody, right, you're not in a relationship to waste your time, right? This is not, we just gonna, be together and we're gonna see how long we can be together. We're in a relationship for a reason, right? I'm looking for a lifelong partner. I'm looking for love. I'm looking for support. I'm looking for validation. I'm looking for acknowledgement. I'm looking for, just somebody to help me out. And so when I'm in a place where I don't know, how to fulfill that need, then the relationship suffers a little. It suffers a lot, actually. But if you're going to be in a relationship, you got to get to a point where you stop hiding who you are. You got to get to a point where you stop hiding, uh, just to make yourself look better in their eyes, right? You need to give them all of you no matter what. And that's part of being open and being emotional and having that connection and saying, look, if we're going to be together, then you need to know the good and the bad about me, right? And that's sitting down one-on-one and just saying, look, this is what I've been through. This is what I've experienced in my life. And this is what it's taught me, right? So if I act a certain way, I need you to understand because of what I've been through in my past, it's causing me to have a reaction like this, right? It's causing me it's causing me to say these things or go these places or do whatever it is. But we have got to be open and honest. We have got to to take the veil off, right? Take the mask off and say, look, this is who I am, right? And either you're going to be with me and we're going to work this thing out, grow together, or you're going to make a decision and say, look, I don't, this is not where I want to be. Yeah. I was a witness. My cousin David,
Mr. Cox.
I was a witness. As Cox man has to learn to be men. Have to learn to be men. We didn't have the greatest examples of manhood. That's right. Safe to say, we all, for the most part, turn out to be great examples. That's for sure.
Amen.
That's for sure. I mean, I'm telling you, there was a time in my life where I had to say I have got to stop using I didn't have a man in my life as an excuse.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what it was. I was letting my excuses run my life. I was letting my excuses, validate me, and that's not what it's all about. At some point, we got to come from behind our excuses, and we have got to stand up and be men and women and own who we are, own what we've been through, and say, if we're going to be in this relationship, this is what it's going to take to make it work, right? And we signed that verbal contract, man, and we're on and off. We're making it happen. So, having that emotional intimacy is really a part. It's just something about letting that guard down and just being completely open with your partner, man. It makes them understand who you are, and that's what we're in a relationship. We're in a relationship to be understood, right? If nobody else out there understands me or what I'm going through, then my wife does, right? And it's because I've chosen, right? You got to choose to do this. I've chosen to let myself be myself with her, right? And open and honest. And that's why, we got almost 18 years and we didn't get there, for nothing, by nothing. Right? I mean, we crashed into the guardrail a couple of times, but we were able to get out and dust ourselves off and continue to march on. But we have got to continue to just be open, to be honest, to share your feelings, man. Guys don't like to share feelings, man. No, right?
They don't like to get emotional,
man. And it's crazy to me because I wasn't in a place like that, right? I was not in a place where I was willing to share my emotions. I was willing to be emotional, be open, because I didn't learn how to be a man from a man. I learned how to be a man from men, right? I learned how to be a man through watching TV, movies, hanging around some people, right? And so I learned how to be a man not from one example, but from multiple examples. And it's hard to pin down who you want to be when you have so many examples that you like this and this and this, but you can't be like every one of them. You got to be you. And so I learned how to be a man from men, right? And so it's difficult, but now I'm in a situation where my sons, my boys, my young men are learning how to be a man from me, right? So I chose to not let my excuses run my life, figured out how to be a man, gave my life to Christ, walked the path, and then I decided to be example for my boys, right? So they understood what manhood was all about. So they understood, the challenges of being a man, especially a Black man. It's just something that I feel is absolutely necessary. You have got to be open and honest. We've got to open ourselves up. And sometimes it's hard because we've been through things where we've been hurt before. We've had things happen to us when we let our guard down and people in, right? And sometimes people have broken our trust and they've hurt us, and it's hard for us to trust again, to get back to that place. But if we're going to be in a relationship, we have got to be 100% committed to whatever happens. We're in this thing, right? And I'm going to be honest with you, you be honest with me, and we're going to ride this thing out.
All right. Anybody have anything on that they want to share?
Ronald said 18. Ronald, what does that mean?
18. I think he's commenting on how many years we're coming up on.
Oh, yeah, 18, bro.
And then Sheila said, chosen is the key word in that statement.
It is, absolutely. Because there's so many things that we can choose to do. There's so many things we can choose to do.
Sorry.
It's all about choices. For sure it is. All about choices. All about choices. So it's okay to be emotional. It's okay to be open. It's okay to be, almost 18. Yeah, it'd be 18 in March.
Yeah.
I don't know what Ronald's talking about.
It'd be 18 in March.
He's trying to distract me. But it's okay to be vulnerable.
He's funny.
Right? A relationship, and I'm gonna throw this word out here to you, and you let me know what it means to you. But a relationship means mutual vulnerability. Yeah, I read books too. I can say stuff like that. But it's mutual vulnerability, right? Both of us have to be open. Both of us have to be vulnerable for a relationship to where I can't be vulnerable and you're not, because it's not giving, what we need to this relationship. Right. Both of us have to be, for sure. What did David say? You gotta see it.
Oh, he said he's answering your question. David says self-accountability. Your circumstances that you grew up isn't an excuse to fail at life.
Man, word up. Those are facts, sir. Self-accountability. Facts. That's my cousin, man. Grew up together, man. I love that dude. So, Ronsley's answered my question. So, accountability and vulnerability, right, are two things that play into creating an atmosphere of intimacy, right? It's just something about being open and honest that that is not is like none other. It's something that really helps us to move forward, to heal, and to make the relationship that we're in better each day. So,
Right.
for sure. Okay. So where are we at now?
We're on sexual intimacy.
Oh man.
Because where you have a close, sensual relationship.
Close, sensual relationship.
Yeah. How important, and I'm going to talk to the married people, okay? Because this is faith-based. No offense if you're not married, okay? How important is sexual intimacy in a marriage?
Are you going to ask me then? Are you going to ask me or are you asking them?
How important is sexual intimacy? You know what? While you think on that, I want to poll some people. So we covered experiential, intellectual, emotional, and now we're on sexual intimacy. So on the scale from 1 to 5, or should I say 1 to 10?
1 to 10.
1 to 10. On the scale from 1 to 10, how important is experiential intimacy in your relationship? How important is
I think we're back.
I think we're back.
You know what's happening? I don't know what's going on with our Wi-Fi. But if we lose y'all, hold on with us. We'll be back. I promise.
Yes. David said 2.
Okay. Relationship. I'm interested to know.
What did you ask him?
For anybody, what's the most important aspect of intimacy for you in your relationship?
Yes, that's what I meant to ask.
I don't know.
Is it experiential, intellectual, emotional, or sexual?
Or any other kind of intimacy that you've